the extension of these tax cuts are for everybody, not just the richest man in the world who still wants to have a tax advantage in selling electric vehicles. And by the way, if you like Teslas, go buy a Tesla. I have no problem with it. It's one of those things where I understand where everyone is coming from. And you've heard me say this, truth matters. I would say it matters most. Yeah. And so if you understand the truth, you understand what can actually be done versus what cannot be done right now through this reconciliation process versus an annual budget bill. That'll determine where you line up as far as what's a compromise, what makes sense. Again, to set the stage, all references available, link in the description. The number I gave you yesterday was 1.6. There's now a newly released number from multiple sources. The bill, that is, the big, beautiful bill right now, in front of this country, it includes $1.7 trillion in mandatory savings, in cuts over the next 10 years. DOGE, the total was $180 billion with receipts for only 30% of those savings. 1.7 trillion versus 180 billion. Almost exactly a tenth, assuming that it's all real from DOGE and not using the actual number, which is 30%, which included receipts. So what is Elon Musk mad about? Yeah. That's what we have discussed here at length. But there's something more than that. We've talked about this, right? Making sure that you guard against wolves in sheep's clothing. You may debate, hey, these cuts aren't enough to outpace the tax cut extension, because I guess maybe now it's more conservative to want middle-class Americans to pay more taxes. Okay, you can make that case. I disagree with it. But there is no debate about the fact that the left loves exactly what Elon Musk is doing. They love what he is saying, and they love how he is going about doing it. Just hear it here from MSNBC's Mehdi Hassan Greenwald.
We begin with what is truly disarray in the Republican Party. And if you do normal math, it's supposed to be the ongoing honeymoon period. They did win the White House and the Congress, but they're sure having a hard time staying on point together. Republican leaders are pretty openly, publicly kind of panicking because Elon Musk, who is the largest donor to Donald Trump and until last week an ally of his, is basically trying to kill their big bill, trashing Trump's signature biggest economic priority for legislation again today, and continuing with what he's been saying this week, that it is not just a bad bill or a difference of opinion and ideas, but rather that Musk says Trump's bill is a, quote, disgusting abomination.
Just like I told you when Kash Patel said Epstein killed himself, it's very clear Epstein killed himself. I told you the left would be saying, see, even Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are saying that the rest of you are crazy. I told you that that's what they would do. So even if you have a difference of opinion, you better be really, really sure about it, and still make sure that you frame it in a way where the left can't use it against your brothers and sisters in arms. That's really important. Can you guys all come up? And we can have our disagreement, but we need to have our disagreements behind closed doors, and we need to be unified. As far as people who are actually on our team, we need to be unified when we go against the left. That doesn't mean not calling out people when they are clearly incorrect, or if it would seem like there's something fraudulent. Yeah. Which I would argue we kind of see here today a little bit, and I'll make the case. But yesterday, Elon reposted or retweeted about this bill, which seems almost like it's personal because it was no less than 50 times. It basically reads like a novella. Here's a screen video.
Posting 50 times, that's bad for his algorithm. He should know that.
Oh, not for him.
Well, post or retweet or
it's repost. Bad for his engagement.
The algorithm, somehow it always favors him and the baby mamas until they're on the outs. So it included even tweets like this: call your senator, call your congressman, and bankrupting America is not okay. Okay, kill the bill. Okay, but there's so much more. It's time for Claim Truth.
It's almost like Kimmel mixed.
And the references are available. I know we have A.G. Paxton. I wanted to say senator, but let's be honest, it's a foregone conclusion. All the references are available. And Elon's claims, unfortunately, some of the truths here are Elon's other claims, which makes it tough. So the first Elon claim is that the big beautiful bill is destroying Doge's gains, which almost seems like it's a branding thing. Something. It's the EV credits. So Elon reposted this meme with the caption, exactly. For those of you who see that meme. Now, can you bring it back up for people who are on audio so I can read it, where it says, "Money Doge has saved the government. Trump's big beautiful bill." Again, 1.7 trillion in savings over 10 years versus proposed 180 billion from Elon, with only 30% of those having receipts. Here's the truth, okay? And I agree. Raising the debt ceiling is not a good thing. I understand that we need to reduce this deficit. I understand that we cannot spend our way into prosperity. But the truth, what he is citing, and what is used as the premise for that meme, the entire deficit increase that the CBO cites, who, by the way, we know tends to be quite left, comes from the extended tax cuts. So not even it comes from extending currently existing tax cuts, meaning if that doesn't happen, your taxes will go up. So the entire deficit increase, the CBO is not even arguing otherwise. The reason for the deficit increase that they are citing is you continuing to pay your tax rates, which, by the way, Elon Musk says he agrees with. He says he agrees with keeping the tax cuts.
Because he agrees with Ron Paul.
But not raising the debt. Not raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
And the entire reason for the debt ceiling being raised is because of the tax cuts. And by the way, the tax cuts, if you all want those, they have to become permanent now, to be clear. Here's something that's pretty important to note. If Trump would ever need to raise the debt ceiling in the future, which, by the way, it's been happening for, I believe, 30 years, without exception, he would then need Democrat votes.
Yep.
That would mean the raised debt ceiling would, by necessity, have to come with no welfare reforms. That means the work requirements. That means getting rid of illegal aliens. Also on a lot of these social safety programs. I can't remember if it was Medicaid and Social Security, welfare, but several of them will require work requirements. Several of them will require hours. They will require checking in with your ID. This would mean raising the debt ceiling in the future with no tax cuts. And by the way, of course, with no border security, because you will not get any Democrats to vote for that. And I'm willing to bet that Rand Paul and Massey won't vote for it anyway. And I'm more in line with Rand Paul and probably even Massey than Donald Trump on policy. But it does not behoove us to deny reality right now.
And those are the things that wouldn't be allowed into that bill. Now do the things that Dems want that would have to be allowed so that they could get to 60 votes. Which Democrat policy are you willing to cave on to be able to raise the debt ceiling in what is projected to be September?
Right.
Let's not act like this is some far-off event.
There aren't enough Liebermans in the world. The next Elon claim, and this one is silly. And it makes you go, well, why so much posting about it? And why are you making claims that are false? Why are you strawmanning? That seems a lot like some of the leftists do who just want lower taxes or tax benefits for your companies predicated on the Green New Deal. So he said, people voted on spending cuts. That's what they voted for. That's what he said. He reposted this Gunther Eagleman tweet. Every GOP member of Congress should grok November 5th election results as a reminder to who won and why. We voted for spending cuts. We voted for a closed border. We voted for Doge. We voted for mass deportations. Our GOP is failing 77 million Americans. Here's the truth. People voted, they just got $1.7 trillion in spending cuts over the next 10 years. That's the truth. But the next truth is the top issues for Trump voters in 2024 were not spending cuts. Number one, economy. And that was largely, I know you'll say, spending cuts? No, that was, is that important to me? Yes. But to the average voter? No. That meant curbing inflation. That meant jobs. Number two was immigration. That meant strong borders. That meant deportations. That meant sealing the gaps. Number three was crime, meaning get rid of the soft on crime policies. Number four was foreign policy, national security. For more information on that, you can pretty much go back to number two, which is immigration. Right now, government spending itself actually ranks as fourth most important issue among Republicans right now. So number one is inflation and prices. Number two is jobs and economy. Number three is immigration. Number four is taxes and spending. And by the way, $1.7 trillion in spending cuts. And I know that people will get mad and say, when did you become a rhino? Some people say that. I'm talking $1.7 trillion in spending cuts.
Yeah.
That's better than no spending cuts, which is what you will get if you push this to the point where you need Democrat votes, where you need 60 votes. You understand that, right? The bill focuses on three principles at large. Number one, tax cuts or extending tax cuts. Two, immigration enforcement. That's one that is going to cost some money. And three, entitlement reform. Work requirements. Getting rid of all illegal aliens on these books, either by deportation or making sure that the money stops flowing. This brings us to the next claim. And I know we have Edgy Paxton coming on. From Elon, his claim that Fox News loves him.
Oh, sick.
He pinned this repost to his X account. He said, Fox News comments is a great place to understand conservative views since they get so much traffic. I was curious what the people were saying about Elon shit-talking the big, beautiful bill. I'm shocked. I'm a third person in this one because I know it's a repost.
Okay.
Almost every comment is in agreement with Elon. That's me. To see so many vehemently disagreeing with Trump is wild. GOP better be real careful.
Homo.
Here's the truth. Well, he's right. Boomer cons love Elon because the median age of a Fox News viewer is 69 years old. When I was there, it was 72. And I remember saying, whoa, that won't get any better. It's only going to get older. What I didn't take into account was death.
Oh.
It's true. It skews the number down.
And also keep this in mind, from 2020 to 2024, the 65 and over is the only demographic that shifted away from Trump, whereas Gen Z shifted toward Trump. Ooh, there's a twist. But here are some random comments from the Fox News X post about Musk and Massey. It says, both morons are citing the left-wing CBO for their opposition to the bill. Otherwise, if it passes, we get massive permanent tax cuts and secure borders, no tax on overtime tips or Social Security. Here's another one. These people criticize the bill, but they don't offer specific changes to the bill. Elon was on board with the bill because he mistakenly thought his companies would continue to receive billions in government subsidies. And by the way, he would receive billions in government subsidies or tax credits, which the CBO would basically see as subsidies, right? In other words, if you were to just multiply Elon's EV tax credits, that would require raising the debt ceiling if it were at the level of what we're talking about tax cut. But instead, the extension of these tax cuts are for everybody, not just the richest man in the world who still wants to have a tax advantage in selling electric vehicles. And by the way, if you like Teslas, go buy a Tesla. I have no problem with it. So this image is also making its way around X.
Yeah.
This one's really important.
Stupid.
All references available, link in the description. This shows all of the pork in Trump's bill, just so you know. You might have seen this, okay? $3 million for LGBTQ plus museum in New York City. That's terrible. $3.6 million for the Michelle Obama Trail in Georgia. I'm not a fan of that.
Expensive trail. It's just dirt.
$2 million for the Great Blacks in Wax Museum in Baltimore. All of that. Hey, look, I will tell you, I'm anti. Wait. Oh, those are all from the 2022 Biden omnibus bill.
Ah, man. I like Wax Blacks.
Yeah, so does Biden. So bring it back up. Bring that back up from X. Can you bring that back up? Overlay C12. You guys may believe this, and it's being retweeted and it's being reposted by people who are supposedly conservative, for some reason very, 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 very pro-Elon. And this is being presented to you as though it's in this bill. It's not. Now, you may not like $1.7 trillion in spending cuts. You may not like extending the tax cuts. You may not like increasing spending, and I think there can be a debate about this, on border, on immigration enforcement. You may not like those things. But that, which is being circulated, is a lie. And the people circulating it know it's a lie. And those people should no longer be trusted.
Of course not. And the people that are spreading, and by the way, we'll have Paxton in just a minute. I'll let you know when he's ready to go. I've asked several times, and nobody has been able to articulate this point for me. Please point out for me the pork that is in this bill that you don't like, right? Again, I go back to Rand Paul, and I understand his position. I at least get what he's saying. I disagree with him because I think of the cost of what you would have to do to pass an increase. And I got fact-checked just a little bit. It's August, September, so technically it could be August by the time that this thing actually comes around again, which is not too far down the road.
Right.
But with Elon, I don't think he's had any specifics. And it makes it sound even more like the EV thing. And you're like, oh, the EV thing. But remember yesterday when we talked about it, there was some guidance that it could actually impact 52% of their, I believe, profit.
Yeah, profits.
would go down if those EV tax credits go away. Now, if
by the way, not sales profits, because of how much is baked in, where the business model requires tax credits.
Yeah, it depends on that. And so I think that makes the point for everybody. Now, if Elon is against the debt going up forever, I understand that, but you have to be practical in how you solve that problem. It's not a switch being flipped. And there is a process to make this thing happen. We do need to get the Doge cuts in. We need more Doge cuts as well. We were promised $1 trillion, at least $1 trillion.
Right.
It sounded like he was almost going to the $2 trillion mark at one point. We're not getting that right now. We need a spending bill, but that's going to take 60 votes. It's going to be really hard. By the way, when was the last time that you saw a major entitlement program massively reformed?
Yeah, that's true.
This
is
is
a very
a
good
big
point.
thing. What you want to know what pisses the Democrats off? Just look at what they're talking about. They're cutting benefits. That's why they're pissed about this bill.
Yeah, I would tell you this. This is the closest thing to the right-wing equivalent of Obamacare that we've seen, of the Affordable Care Act, which just basically, by the way, since the Affordable Care Act, have your healthcare costs gone up or down? This is the closest thing I can think of as far as actually cutting or slashing. Work requirements, getting rid of fraud, making sure that people have to check in with ID.
Yeah.
So with this, no more able-bodied With this bill, no more able-bodied young single Americans without children will get free, I believe it's Social Security, and I believe it's Medicaid, unless you work 20 hours a week.
And that's volunteering and school count.
And you know what's going to happen? This is going to throw a lot of the young obese feminists who've gone to college who can't work because of a disability. And it's, well, get off your hover round and go to work, or you're not going to be collecting this off the taxpayer dime. And they are freaking out about it. Is it perfect? No. Is it the biggest win that we've had in 2 decades? Yeah, I would say this. As far fiscally for conservatives, it would be the biggest win that I can think of in 2 decades.
It's not going to come in one chunk. Why don't you take the wins when you can get them? $1.7 trillion in cuts, tax cuts that actually help the economy grow and go to the number one thing, inflation and price of goods and jobs. That's actually very good for us. Why don't you take the wins where you can get them and go, I know I'm a rational human being. I can't stop the debt ceiling from going up this time around. If I wanted to try that, you want to see what the apocalypse looks like, go for it. Unless you have a plan. I haven't heard a plan.
But by the way, here's the thing too. We just had Donald Trump, President Trump's approval. I believe it's at 52% and Rasmussen. It's up. And this isn't direction of the country. This is Donald Trump approval. It's going up. I don't know. Someone can fact check me. I can't remember ever in my lifetime a president proposing, doing anything about, or cutting entitlements and being approved of more for having done it. Frankly, that's as close to a real-life magic trick that I've ever seen. Oh, you're still here, which is a miracle in the age of Instagram and shorts. I think you have some shorts up there. You have an attention span that is longer than that of a fruit gnat. So thank you. I'm glad you probably would like it a lot more if you actually head over and subscribe on Rumble. I'm live there 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, where free speech is still alive. Go to Rumble. Get off the social media ghetto that is YouTube, with a lot of homosexual activity here on YouTube. There may be some on Rumble, but I haven't seen it.